Hi, welcome. Article Linux is on holiday. And Eric isn't. Eric wants to learn something, like always. That's why Article Linux is there. I want to learn something, basically. That's the goal and the drive behind it. And we want to share the knowledge. So if I can learn and if I can teach, I'm a happy guy. Well, also if I can analyze. So problem solving is something that my brain really likes. Now, my project for the holiday is gonna be Gentoo, gentoo.org. Now, why this one? Because one of our core members, at this point in time, ex-core members, I hope he's healthy. Gentoo Linux was his thing, and we talked about it, and I said, look, it's crazy. You have to build everything, and it's super complex. It's not the word, but it's super specific to Gentoo that you need to build everything from source, and it's gonna take time and all that. But he says there is a great tutorial behind it, and to be frank, I was using Ubuntu. I was using Linux Mint for years, but ArchWiki was attractive. Why? Again, the learning. So my personal goal in life, I suppose, is to learn. And I never stopped doing that after my college years, my university years, right? So learning is important. And this wiki, to me, like maybe Linux from scratch, that's another way to go maybe. Maybe if you want to learn as well from there, you can do this as well. So I've done this in the past, not any video, but we can have a look at these as well. So you need to choose, right? So thanks to Nick Petrov, one of our core members in the past, I got this vibe, I should do that. I should really investigate this. And I've been seeing some videos, and the result is that I think, oh my God, I'll never use it. Ever. But the other feeling is I want to learn. I want to read what I say on the wiki. Because like 80% of the things they say on the wiki are, of course, the same as on arcolinux.com. And follow the tutorial. Phase 5, archway, phase 1, bias. Boom, let's go. Everything that's in here repeats itself, which again shows you guys, hey, Linux is one big happy family. They are always doing the same thing. You need to partition, you need to format, etc., etc. Host name and all that, all the list that is, if you scroll down, everything is so recognizable if you watch some installation videos of Gentoo. So that's how I started, right? Sitting down, looking at my big screen television and swiping, what you say, it, one video after the other, and say, okay, that's how you install Gentoo. And I've already read a little bit of the wiki as well during these videos. So this is just gonna be a storytelling, how to install, how I have installed Gentoo, and well, that's that. After the reading of the installations, I will probably never gonna install Gentoo again because of the lack of time. Every application that we have on this machine will need to be built one after the other. I mean, it's gonna be taxating for my CPU. It's gonna be time consuming, that's the word, time consuming, and well, basically I'll be sitting here and watching it go by, and I suppose reading some text in the meantime, waiting for the thing to finish, right? But it's this thing that attracts me. So the step 1, boot a live environment. We're not gonna boot it into an SSD, an actual machine, but we're gonna keep it in VirtualBox so we can stop it and go ahead next time. So it's a holiday project for, I don't know, coming days, weeks, slowly but gradually, one after the other, because I'm not gonna do it, well, like 8 hours straight or something. That's not the goal. The goal is to read thoroughly, right? And follow the installation instructions. All right, where should we download? Downloads. Okay, minimal installation. I've downloaded in the past this guy. It's a Plasma guy, I think it was. So we need to go for the minimal. I'm not going for 32 bits. I'm going for 64 bits. So this is the guy I need. Minimal installation. He's downloading already. At what speed? Would be nice if you tell me that. It won't tell me that. He may be telling me that here. Nope. It's gonna take me 2 minutes, which is not that bad. All right, so we'll wait for that. Super F7, I have my VirtualBox ready. Let's have a look. I'm gonna clone you and gonna call you Gentoo projects. It's not gonna go on Arch Linux, it's gonna go on eric-dubois.pe. This has nothing to do with Arch Linux. Well, anything you learn from any distribution can be reused on any Linux distribution. So yeah, it will have some relevance with Arch Linux. Settings, let's have a look. I want this to be a powerful machine. Meaning, I have the base memory. Well, that's enough for him. We could go for an EFI, but let's go for a grub thing. Processor, I'm gonna give him more power. The faster my virtual machine builds, well, the slower my host gets, the faster my guest gets. We'll see. I've never done that, but I need to do it because I know it's gonna use my CPU's power to build, well, the first packages already, but all the packages in the end, right? So let's see what happens if I give you 6 CPUs and 2 for my host. Maybe my video will start to, I don't know, lag or something. Never tried it. Gonna try it. For the rest, I keep everything as is. Display all the way up. Maybe you should, well, let's take all the way up. VBox SVGA is good. This one is also good. All the rest is rubbish. Don't use the rest. Okay, let's see if this is gonna work. So downloads almost finished. Okay. Optical drive. Choose a disk file in the downloads somewhere. There is an install AMD 64 minimal of 2020 07 12 and then some strange numbers. Okay, booting up. And then they have to enter to boot. F1 for kernels, F2 for options. Let's go for F2 for options, F3 hardware. F3 hardware, okay, this loads, ACP is on. This might be already something to learn from, right? People sometimes have problem with Linux. The line that boots it up has a kind of standard way of booting, but their system is specific and it has problems with the ACPI. ACPI, don't we have, here it is. So ACPI stands for Advanced Configuration and Power Interface. So it's not that important, but it's a system on your hardware that's going to look at your energy, your electricity. So, okay, fine. But you can say skip it altogether. You can say ACPI on. Well, if you can say on, you can say off. And sometimes that resolves already your issue that you have in your system. And I don't know if we can go more down. No, I think this is it. Page 1 it says. Page up, page down, arrows, and enter. Oh, we're gone. So Control R, I want to learn more, reset my VirtualBox, the right Control R, F2 for options again. So as if F3 was page 1 and F4 is page 2. So no epic, you can do that. No detect I can do. No DHCP. So network cards detection. Escape maybe? Nope. How can I get out? Should I just press F5? Okay, F5. No GPM, no hotblock, no key map, no SATA. And then F6 is no USB, no sound, slow USB, boot up. So these are all lines I can use on any Linux system, not just ArcLinux, right? Or Gentoo. F8 doesn't do anything. F1, we're here. F2, okay, I get it. F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F6, 7, 8, F9, nothing. 10, 11, 12, nothing. So F1. Now, I've seen the videos, so I should type Gentoo, but I suppose I should find that information somewhere as well. So let's go for get started. We call it start here on ArcLinux. There are menus. Let's combine the information for our own websites. Start here is called here getting started or get started. So that's what we've done. Okay, Gentoo handbook provides detailed communication. I can apply, ready to go. Yes, please. Get Gentoo handbook. And what we need is our x86-64 or AMD 64. I don't have an AMD 64. I have an Intel 64. It doesn't matter. AMD, Intel, it's pointing to the same thing, that you're having 64 bits. That's the thing. Okay, so let's all click here and then let's go on. So from time to time I'll just start pausing, but let's first get into the main page. There are other things you can have a look at, and I did. Well, discussion, I haven't clicked on discussion yet. All right. Recent changes, here's the help, Gentoo projects. All right, documentation, here's everything you might look for. So desktops maybe, display managers, so LightDM, SDDM and company. Some desktops, which is, well, a little bit not enough. KDE GNOME is not enough. We have 21 desktops, so there needs some work here. So XFC is here. Okay, 3 desktops. Okay, core system. All right. I was looking for something I've read in the past, but I don't seem to find it at the moment. Something I've seen, what gave me an idea. What is up? We are on the wiki, maybe that's the reason. Let's see, Gentoo, gentoo.org. I think I was reading this thing, getting started, about Gentoo. Have a look, right? Gentoo is, etc., etc., because it's important to start, well, no frustrations, right? Just fun. And Portage is our Pacman. So emerge sync and emerge Firefox and emerge keep everything up to date. So there are commands that are interesting for us, philosophy behind it, social contract, screenshots, probably old ones like on any distro, and a FAQ. And what did I visit as well? The downloads is here inside Gentoo. Sponsors and stores. Use flags. We're gonna have to do something about flags when we want to build. The mirrors. Every continent has a mirror. All right. So back to our wiki. So you go and have a look at the code, at the text here. I mean, we are trying to get started again. So Gentoo handbook 64, and then, well, installing Gentoo. I suppose I should click here. So portage is the word you need to remember. Gentoo's package manager. About the Gentoo Linux installation. Boom, we're started. So let's pause the video. Let's read. All right, I've read this one. Choosing the medium. Gonna be not that difficult for us, so that's done. We don't need a USB or write it down on a USB, which of course we use Mint, Mint stick, so from Linux Mint. USB. I think it's called image. If you type in image, this is Mint, this is SUSE. There is also Etcher. We can tell you guys. Sudo pacman -s Etcher. Right, another application you can install was already installed. Okay, and that's another one you can use. Etcher Balena. All right, so that one. SUSE is this one, and our own Mint stick is image writer, that one. So all of these guys are good. The ISO can go on your USB, and you can try it out on your real hardware, real metal. Okay, let's read. Pausing. What I forgot to tell you, I think, in last article, all the way down, is do read these lines, right? The user is in a working environment. Read this one because it gives you away the steps we're gonna be making. Going back to the next page and reading. All right, what's important on this page? So choosing the right installation medium. What was interesting? Well, the fact is interesting that they use tarballs. So a stage 3 tarball, which is in fact a complete minimal, well, Linux environment. It will have all the folders and files we see on here. It will have this structure, a minimal structure, and you can call it profiles or templates. They have different kinds of templates, and each tarball is different. It's going to be well, targeting different aspects, more security or more that, things like that. I don't know, maybe we can follow these links. I've never clicked on it yet. Let's see if I can show you what I mean. So a tarball, stage 3 tarball, there are versions. Let's see, that's a set of all profiles can be found at, here it is. Let's hope. Are these profiles? Packages. Gentoo base profile. So what they're saying is, if you want to have a base profile, you should install bzip2, gzip-tar, wget, rsync, and so on. So which applications should you really have in order to have a minimal application? Now I am wondering, this is the base. If I can do this. So we have base and then embedded hardened. That seems to be like another version. Okay, I might be lost here, but there are different kind of profiles. So we follow, of course, the general one they will suggest, and they are hosted on this one as well. Other tarballs maybe. AMD 64, always go for the right one, 12.1 I suppose. Those are the live DVDs. So auto builds is current stage. Here we have some differences. So here are the tarballs I was talking about. So we're going to use the minimal one, but there is a hardened, no multi-lib, there is a hardened and SE Linux, no multi-lib, and so on and so on. So there's still lots of stuff to explore. There is even a stage 4 we can install, but the tutorial just talks about stage 3. So hardened, minimal, you get the grip of what is intended more or less already with systemd on it and so on. All right. So stages are a kind of archive containing a profile specific to the minimal Gentoo environment. Fine. So we can obtain it later. We don't need that yet. We need first ISO. We've got the ISO. We can verify it and see what's inside it with contents. We're not gonna verify it. It's a VirtualBox. We don't really, not really important for a VirtualBox. Booting up. This is for your BIOS thing, you know, when you booting up your hardware, you need to go into your system, Del F1, F10, Escape, to go during the power on self-test, post progress, one of the exam questions I have. We are going to trigger something on your motherboard, so you boot up into a system configuration software thingy. Now the kernel choices, right? The kernel choices, it's still there. Gentoo, no frame buffer, and memtest. So we got 3 choices. Default kernel with support for K8 CPUs, and same as Gentoo, but then no without a frame buffer, and all the options, right? So remember, on Gentoo we have got a nice list of all the options that we can use on any Linux distribution. Then extra hardware configuration. If something is not working, some kind of mod probe, some kind of module, some kind of piece on your hardware that the system did not find, right? Then we need to mod probe it ourselves. And here they're talking about chatting. If you want to chat, you first need to be a non-root guy. So you make John, and John can then log in and John can chat, right? I did see something I should tell you straight away, but it's probably not on this page, so I've forgot to tell it on another page. We don't do sudo su on Arch Linux, right? So we just type su, and now we become root. So now I am root. The difference is a $sign and a £sign or a hashtag, and then we don't have any lag. Everything goes fast. Exit, we're back in a normal user, right? $sign. Don't do sudo su, right? In this case, it's still fast. There we go, bad example. But on XFC, for example, it gets super slow and you can't just type. So just su is for us. Oops, su is for us enough. Remember that. Okay, but here we need to sudo su. I've seen it somewhere. And then optional starting SSH daemon. So why would we do that? And SSH is a system to go from one place to the other. That's maybe an image, I don't know. Something graphical, that's maybe something graphical. You navigate from one particular system through secure shell to a tunnel to the system. So I could manipulate a computer system standing in South Africa. I'm not living there, I'm living in Belgium. I can make a connection to that particular computer via SSH and do my thing, right? Type all the commands and reboot it and whatever. So it's a kind of way to manage computers remotely. And of course, just keep on Googling and typing and asking Google, what is SSH, right? Keep on learning. That's what we're all about. What is SSH? Secure shell, cryptic, keep on reading. We don't need it, so we're gonna go for configure the network. Automatic network detection, maybe it just works. Wouldn't it be nice, right? But first, did they ever tell us to click on anything? I don't know, probably. So this is not what I want. This guy, I think I still need to say Gentoo, right? Booting into Gentoo. Tux is there, watching over us. 1, 2, 3, 6 Tuxes are watching over us. This is important for me. Azerty, yeah, that's cool. Number 1 is cool, right? But choose something else. Maybe I should have chosen BE. We'll see, and I'll reboot if that's the case. Azerty, gonna work, fine. So, live CD login, root automatic login, last login, root password on this system has been auto-scrambled for security. If any internet attacks were detected at boot, they should be auto-configured if this is available on your network. Yes, it's available. Type net setup H0 to specify settings by hand. All right, pinging then. Let's see. This is my internet service provider, and we are online. Okay, cool. Back to the reading. Back to the reading. Let's put you here. So, yeah, ifconfig. I can type ifconfig if you want me to. Damn it, it's always the wrong one. So this one and this one, they're double. So one is enough. So ifconfig. And we have this 10, 0 to 15. Okay, cool. So another number. This is on real metal. These are numbers coming from real metal. The other one is coming from VirtualBox. IP address, another thing. This one. Okay. That's for people having problems, right? In the sense of a proxy, people sometimes need to go over a specific port to a proxy. Depends on your country. We've pinged. We're in the happy few. Well, VirtualBox, right? Everything is set up the way it should be. PPP, we don't need that. But actually, what does it stand for? PPP. We want to learn point-to-point protocol over Ethernet, right? Has been a while. So these things normally you don't need anymore. 1999, right? Okay. PPTP, whatever. We're online already. Manual network, not necessary for us. Using DHCP, it's done. Wireless, not needed. So everything is documented. Network terminology, cool. So this was one of my classes. I loved doing binary calculating and everyone was thinking I was a wizard, but it's just mathematics, right? And once you get it, well, it's easy. All right, nope, not needed. All right, preparing the disks. Cool, already at the disks. Let's read. All right, that was an interesting read. So check it out. Talking about block devices, about the SCSI devices. Remember the old hard disks and the SATAs, so the serial ATAs. Also the NVMEs came in here. So sometimes people have a smaller device. So we have the hard disks. And let's have a look at something old, if we can. This looks like a SATA connection, but there's of course also the EDI connection. Yep, that's it. So these pins, remember these pins, and then the little jumper, I think it's called, to change slaves and masters. That's what it was. Sounds like a song. Duran Duran, master and slave, right? But that's the old connection, the SCSI connection, and we have the SATA connection. We've seen the SATA connection already. So the NVMe is this kind of connection. So it is, oh, we went to a website. Well, it's this kind of connection that goes into a motherboard. It rather lies down rather than standing up or something like that. It's not in the base, it's on the motherboard actually, where you plug it in. Here you see it. So it's plugged in, it lies down. I've used it, tested it. It's on arcmix.com, I think. And I've thrown it away again because I use a switch bay. So I can't switch NVMEs out, but I can use a switch bay SSD. That's what I'm using because I have so many desktops. I mean, every desktop has its own SSD, which I pop in, pop out, pop in, pop out. And that's the best way to do, guys. Certainly, if you want to still work with and game with Windows, right? Then you just pop Windows out and Linux in, etc. So, fun to read. Do read on. GPT, so you know what GPT stands for. We do also try to follow the same kind of rule on each way. So the BIOS or DOS, UEFI or GPT, it's all explained in the two articles. So the naming convention is more or less the same. So DOS or MBR and GPT or UEFI or EFI, it's names you should remember. I've also made a decision, which I should still do, is going to GPT, since MBR is just an old thing for old computers. Let's go for the new guy. And what is the new guy? Well, you can make it like this. Enable EFI special OSs only. So extended firmware interface, which is required to boot certain guest OSs. So we're telling VirtualBox, hey, you're a new computer, basically. And I boot up again. Simple as that. Oh, look at that. Look at that. In this case, we see this, right? Nice. Well, he's booting. What did I read as well? Well, take a look at partitions. I believe I made videos about it already. But in the BIOS thing, where was that? We can have 4 partitions, but we can also have one which is a logical partition. One of the primary partitions can be marked as an extended partition, and inside the extended partitions you can have logical partitions. So that's the MBR DOS way of thinking, DOS label here. But the good news is that there is a new kind of partitioning table, so GPT, and we can have, hard disk with 8 zip, so zettabytes, right? So that's cool. Basically, if you can go for GPT, that's what this more or less says. Some information about LVME. I've done it in the past, I mean, like really in the past, like 8 years ago or something like that. LVME is interesting, has a logical volume manager, so you keep on adding things to your hardware, plugging in a hard disk and adding the hard disk to the amount of data you have already. It just expands, feels magic. And they're talking about the default partitioning scheme. They do talk about something new for us, a bootloader. So this is something to be compatible with DOS. Somewhere I found the text. We're not gonna do that. I don't think we're gonna do that. We'll see in the tutorial. They suggest Fdisk and Parted. We suggest here CFdisk. So if you go to Archway, why Fdisk? Fdisk is more graphical. You can choose also GPT or UEFI, DOS or MBR, right? But you get some lines and arrows, and it's super fast once you know, click, 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 it's super fast. In this case, we're going to use some applications, it seems. Fdisks and Parted, and Gdisk is the GPT disk alternative to Parted. So I've learned a lot by reading this. Also, a lot about designing a partition scheme. So if you have a mail server, you should do this. And if you have, well, think about making USR big. If you want to partition everything, right? Every folders in the folder structure you have in Linux, you can say this particular folder goes on that particular partition. My idea is just keep it simple, right? KISS. Keep it simple and stupid, and one big root. But once you get more, well, when you need it, so like the game servers will have a separate opt, right? Because lots of the applications are there. We have also lots of applications there, and it's not our decision to put them there. It's the decision of Balena Etcher to be here, Bitwarden to be here, Brackets to be here, etc. So all these applications, the developers decided, well, Arch Linux as well, of course, package builds are created by hand, by people deciding to put it here. Maybe it's developers, maybe it's Arch Linux guys. Anyway, it's there. So we have a opt, which can maybe become too small if you put it on a 5 megabyte partition, right? Then your opt will be soon run out of space. So choosing the size of every particular folder is like guessing, right? Like guessing the lotto numbers. I mean, you have to calculate, you have to know how big to make everything. Like this here, typically also hosts the Gentoo e-build repository. So this user guy needs to be USR, user, I just say that so I can remember it, because all the user files, applications are in there, not user files. Lots of applications that we use as a user are in there. Defaults located there, gives us, we need some space there as well. Well, they did not venture to make a stance or anything, but it will be a indefinite discussion how big a swap should be. It's simple. It's just it needs to be more than your memory. If you want to hibernate, if you don't want to hibernate, it can be less. And enough memory enough, like the time I had with 64 gigabyte, don't you swap, right? No, so but 16 gigabytes is already enough. 8 maybe not enough. It depends what you do, right? If the system runs out of space, it's gonna read this. It's gonna put stuff on the swap, and when you need it again, it's gonna get it back. It's like the page file sys on Windows, right? Something about the BIOS boot partition. So here it is, to be compatible with the BIOS legacy mode, and this is maybe something you've seen in your system settings of your motherboard. So then you make a little partition. It's a very, very little partition. And then the EFI system partition, ESP. What's all that all about? So go and read a little bit more, because I'm not going to say everything that's in here. Read. And here we have some examples, right? So the example with Fdisk, the one we start with, Parted. And here's another way with Fdisk. And we could have a look if Fdisk is there. Some information about the file systems. That's also interesting to have a look. What is BTRFS? And what's X4? We're going to use that one. But what is JFS? What is XFS? Just reading already makes it more interesting, because this is just general Linux knowledge. You don't need to be a Gentoo user. This is just Linux. All right. I'm gonna put this aside. Where should I begin? What about swap? Let's have a look. Where does it start? So information, information, information. Still information. Here. Setting the GPT label. I think we need to start here. Viewing the current partition. Label with parted. Ale. Putting it to the right. I still have Azerty. Oh my god. Control R. Reboot. Did I not get the choice? There it is. Number 1, please. Whew. I was thinking, how should I get it to Azerty? Yeah. So, parted. View the current partition layout with parted. Okay. -A. Optimal. Device SDA. Okay, welcome to GNU Parted. Type help to view a command. Help. So, resize, remove, select device. We're gonna need that. Okay, make labels, make partitions. Alignment means that partition are started on well-known boundaries within the disk. Okay, we've typed help. We're gonna say we are the new machine guy. Make label GPT. Right? So that's pretty much the same thing. Where it is here. The same thing as choosing here phase 5 H UFI control find GPT, choosing GPT, right? That's that. We've chosen GPT. Not gonna compare always, but this was obvious. To have the disk with MBR layout, use make label MS-DOS. We're not. Removing all partitions with parted. Type print to view the current things. Nothing here. Now, if something would have been here, I should type remove. And then the number is the partition. Number 1, number 2, number 3. So every partition you have, you just remove it. Okay. Creating the partitions. Now, parted will be used to create the partitions. This is usually primary. If the MS-DOS partitions label is used, there can be no more than 4 primary partitions if more than 4 partitions are needed. Expressed in megabytes and gigabytes. Okay. The unit is MeB. Cool. 2 megabyte partition will be used with a group bootloader. Make partition primary. And what is this 1 and 3? To start from 1 megabyte and end at 3 megabytes. So this is 1 and 3. You start there and make a primary partition. Name 1 grub. Okay. Set our first partition by grub is on. We don't need it, but I'm gonna just wanna follow it. Right? Oops. Print. Yay! We have our first partition. Okay. GPT, disk flags. There's just one word more that we have if you compare the sites and hours. Looks actually a bit different, but it's the same thing. All right, do the same thing for the boot partition, 128. Calamares uses what was it again? Normally I would use 512. Now Calamares is actually using 100, 200, 300. That's it. So we have our boot EFI of 300 when we installed with Calamares. So that's more than enough, which is cool, safe. What is 500 megabyte, right? In a system of 1000 gigabyte, nothing. What is all that? We need to run. That I've done. And now we're going to make another one. First we need to make part. Why is he starting with primary 3? And then, okay, all right, got it. So make part primary. And then again, from where did we stop? Was at 3 megabytes. So we go on with 3. 131 is the size. So what's in between is the size. Okay, and we're gonna name that guy as number 2 is boot. Then we're gonna make another partition that's gonna start also primary one. That's gonna start on 131 and then 643. It's gonna be our swap. That's so small. We'll see. And then name 3 swap, and then name 4 primary. So we have 4 primaries. 643 till the end is probably this gonna be -1. It's gonna be the end, I suppose. Okay, was too fast. Make the partition first. Primary 641. I just mashed 2 commands together. Make part primary 643. Right? Oh, fine. Woohoo! Yep, that's it. Till the very end, my dear friend. Yes, that's acceptable. Okay, arrow up. That's gonna work. Name 4 root file system. All right, this is what I created. All right, let's have a look. 120 megabyte, 512 megabyte. That's nothing for swap. That's too little, but okay. I don't need swap either. Anyways, so it's VirtualBox, right? I find it a bit strange why they make us this small as an example, but okay. Everybody's a critic. We're not gonna do that. Best example here. Don't do it, Eric. When using the boot instead of BIOS, mark the boot partition as EFI system partition. When using the UEFI interface to boot a system instead of BIOS, mark the boot partition as EFI system partition. Partition does this automatically when the boot option is set on the partition. Okay, so set boot on. We need to do that on UEFI. Okay, error, expecting a number. Oh, my numerical key is on. Okay, set to boot on. Fine, print. The boot ESP is there for my boot. EFI needs a boot folder. Well, in this case, not only a folder, a partition, right? Scrolling. So this is what we've done. BIOS, grub, boot, ESP, sorry. ESP, I must be hungry. Swap. Okay, almost exactly the same thing. Scrolling. use the quit command to exit Parted. Let me move me back to my screen. I moved to one of 6 of my screens. All right. Alternately, using Fdisk to partition the disk. We can do that as well, but we need to get out of Parted first. So quit, we're out. And then we have also Fdisk. Bad usage. We need to tell them what it is I want to do. And we're in. And I suppose there is also some kind of print, the P. So we can start deleting everything here and then making it everything again. So removing all the partitions with a D and then a P again, and then creating the BIOS partition again, the boot partition again. Okay, cool. How do I get out? W. Then Fdisk is installed as well. So this you can do as well. It's not documented, but it's shown on archlinux.com. So if you're more familiar with this one, due to the many Arch Linux installations you've done, well, use Fdisk, right? And then don't forget to write everything. Okay, so what we've done is we've took our pizza and we've put it in pieces. We sliced it into pieces. Our big chunk of hard disk, SSD, NVMe, we've put it lines in it. So that's partition 1, that's partition 2, etc. Scrolling all the way down, installing stage 3. I think so, right? Let's have a look. So let's go all the way back, preparing the disk. So this is what we've done until now. Well, we should still do some stuff before we go to the next one. So that's the alternative thing. Okay, so alternative, we should stop at the end of the alternative, which is creating swap, root, creating file systems. Now they're gonna talk about this thing, creating file systems, and we've already decided what we'd do, but read on, read on, read on, read on. So now they say we need to make file system things. That's so Arch Linux. And let's do a make file system ext2 for device SDA2. That's our boot, right? Well, actually we type a little bit more in Arch Linux, but we follow Gentoo, and then make a file system for our actual root thing, device SDA4. We want to have an ext4 for that. I'm gonna keep it simple, right? Gis make swap for device SDA, no need to format anything. Make swap will take care of that. And then swap on. Was it number 3? Yeah, I think it was. And then swap on. So if you start changing numbers, you should write it down, right? So swap on is on. Scrolling down, mounting the root partition. That's the last thing we do. Then I'll call it a day. And next day we'll do something more. Mount, it is holiday after all. Device SDA4 inside MNT Gentoo. Right? Right. Note, if TMP needs to reside on a separate partition, be sure to change its partitions after mounting. No, that's cool. Now, I want to go and put everything to sleep here. All right, it's our time to enjoy our holiday. and to freeze everything up until tomorrow. And tomorrow the story continues and we keep on reading. And with small portions, I always ask my students, how do you eat an elephant? And I say spoon by spoon. So just 1 hour a day or maybe even less, and we'll know how to install Gentoo. How do we freeze everything up? We can make a snapshot. Always a good thing to do. Snapshot 1. Okay. Second thing we'll do is we'll go and freeze everything up. So pause this system is what I think we should do. Quit program without writing changes, and say here. Or is it actually not pause, but shut down? Where is this skin? I rarely use it because, well, you know, normally just keep on working. But we can actually close this application with this button, and then we say to save the machine state. That's the one I would like to have. So when I do this, and tomorrow I boot up again, we'll just continue our story, which is, let's have a list of MNT Gentoo. What's in here? Nothing. LL, nothing is in here at all. So we'll just close everything up, save the machine state, and we'll continue another day. If you want to join me, you can do so. You see what I've done. You can also watch the videos and just do not install Gentoo. Or you just say, hey, that's interesting. I'm gonna read whatever's on here and not install anything. But it's, I think, interesting to have a general Linux background. And this, and of course the Arch Wiki. And this one is a good way to start getting, yeah, the technical parts, the technical stuff, how everything is working and fitting together. Because next time we're gonna install stage 3. See you tomorrow.